Hey, I think we're about to be live. Online. Okay, let's do a search for what our sim horse racing, because the thingy keeps changing. And live now. They can hear us. Say hello, people. Oh, okay. Reload window, get live broadcast. Now, that's who I was on the phone with when I was being inappropriate. He's fine. He's going through a tough time. Hey, we're live. We're supposed to be like appropriate now. Hi, Steph. They can't hear you. Hi, Eric. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Pete. Okay, we are three. We are 3 whole minutes early for starting this broadcast. That's true. Our tonight's lovely MC just pointed out to me that she has 15 horses to get through in a 10-minute period, which is like maybe not the nicest thing ever. Wait, that's not true. I gave you 15 minutes for this, didn't I? Yeah, I did. 1 minute per horse. You're golden. So, this is our first broadcast since week 9, right? We haven't done anything since then because I went off and had arm surgery, and I'm not really supposed to be on the computer. That's why it took me 4 days to finish doing the Edge this week because it was hard. But made it through, and here we are on Steward's Cup. And tonight I'm going to be doing something that I have never done before, which is that I have downloaded all of tonight's race charts. And I am going to be winging it. Instead of pre typing the calls, I'm going to basically be closer to a real announcer. I fully expect tonight to be full of failures and me cracking up when I come across a horse's name I've never seen in my life and try and call it really fast and suddenly realizing halfway through a race that a horse stumbled and I didn't catch that. And yeah, so we'll see how it goes. And excuse me, if tonight's not the most professional broadcast night we've ever had, that's okay because tonight's MC is a professional in everything that she does, from riding races to working for the sim. So let's turn it over to her to talk about our first race tonight, the Philly Turf Dash. Here she is. It is Cleopatra.
Hello, everyone in the chat tonight. I think we're going to have a very fun and amusing evening. So I better get started with all these ponies because there's 15 of them. So they are all 2-year-old fillies and they go in 5.5 furlongs on the turf. So in pose position 1, we've got One Believer, owned by Nina Olsen and bred by Nina Olsen. She's had 5 lifetime starts for 3 wins and 2 seconds. And last out, she was second in the Dashing Through the White Stakes. And prior to that, she won the Theatre Stakes. In the number 2 spot is Chrome Pass for Kenneth Prater. And I'm just checking. Oh, yeah, he's had Stewart's Cup win before. She is a Duck Bay filly, side by Chrome Twin Moon, and out of a Call the Shots mare called Pass Now. She's had 4 wins for 6 lifetime starts, and she likes to lead all the way. She's won her last 3 races, including the All Welcome Stakes, the Fiery Splendor Stakes, and the Matter Stakes. So her only defeats were in week 4 and week 6. So she's on a pretty good win streak there, and I don't think the Number 2, Draw, will bother her too much because she likes to lead. In number 3, we have Heart Will Go On. She's a chestnut filly owned by Todd Lucas and bred by Todd Lucas. And she's by Time Lord out of a Hand of God mare called Celine. She's had 7 starts for 5 wins and a third. Her only unplaced run was the Hold My Hand Stakes in week 11. And she's coming in off another defeat in the Bullet Bus Stakes as well. But before that was undefeated. So we'll see if she can turn her form around now. In the number 4 hole is the Amy Atkins owned and bred Alias. Grey filly by Reach for the Moon out of a Perfect Nightmare called Darkly. Yeah, I was actually going to mention that. Reach for the Moon was just pensioned, and I'm pretty sure Nikki wants to cry. So this filly has had 7 starts for 5 wins and 2 seconds. Last out in the Group 3 Pride and Prejudice, she was the winner with an 87 speed figure. So that was in week 14. So one thing you've got to remember about week 14 preps is that they've got 1 day less rest, which for some horses can make a difference, but not all of them. Before that, she was second in the County Kildare to War Savings, who I don't think I saw in here. No. So the only horse who's ever beaten her isn't in here. Is that a colt? Is that why? Anyway, right. In the number 5 hole is the Onku Khan. Is that how you say that? I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Pit Storms by Pit Road out of Looking for Storms, who's by Looking Alive. She's a black filly. She's had 5 starts, just the 1 win though. She hasn't won since week 3, so she's going to have to pull out her best today. In the number 6 hole, you've got Speak from the Heart, who is owned by Carl Smythe and bred by the Steward. And I think that might be a deal that they've done for a lease because she didn't go through a trial by summer. So she's by Does It Need Saying out of a Lord Canaloa. Oh my God. Canaloa mare called Music of the Heart. Speak from the Heart has had 7 starts for 6 wins and a second. Her only defeat was way back in week 5, so she's on a good run as well. Last out, she won with an 86 in the Archipelago Stakes in week 14. In the number 7 position, I'm trying to read the chat while I talk, and it's really hard to multitask. Okay. In the number 7 hole is another filly bred by the Steward and owned by Carl Smythe. She's a bay filly this time by the Black Glove out of Little Miss Moon, who is a Reach for the Moon mare. So I suspect that now that he has been pensioned, his daughters will be a lot more valuable. This filly's undefeated. She ran a super impressive 91 last out in the Canto Stakes in week 13. So this is my pick, and I think that she's going to be the one to beat. She likes to lead though, so she'll be arguing with Chrome Pass for the lead, I think. In the number 8 hole, we've got Wild Lament, another grey filly, owned and bred by Carolyn Eaton, and she's by Reach for the Moon out of You Would Cry Too, who's a Hand of God mare. Another undefeated filly. She's had 5 starts for 5 wins. Last out, she was the winner of the Diamonds and Pearls Stakes in week 13. That was with an 85 speed figure, so she looks good. This is a nice filly. Right, the number 9 horse, I'm getting through these really quickly, is Weeping Wastelands, who's owned and bred by Jack Meyer. She's a chestnut filly. Again, Reach for the Moon out of an ambitiously mare called Slide. Can I just say how outrageous it is for one horse to have so many foals in this race? Like, there is a reason he had over 2,000 foals. He's a very likable animal. Okay. So Weeping Wastelands has had 5 starts, 4 wins, and a third. The third was back in week 10 in the Queen of London Group 2 on a soft track. I think this is this firm track today? Yes. So she's shipping back over from Great Britain. And last out, she was the winner of the Dashing Through the White Stakes. She beat One Believer, who's also in this race, with an 85 speed figure. That was in week 13, so she's had plenty of time to get over the ship from England to America. So the number 10 horse is owned and bred by Randall Allen. She's a black filly. She's by Reckoner out of an auto dialer mare called Crystal Dial. She's one of the most experienced fillies in this race. She's had 7 starts for 4 wins and 3 seconds. So never been off the board. Last out, she was second in South America with a 77 speed figure. So she comes up to America now off 2 defeats. She won in week 10. There's a bit of a question about going 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, especially with the one day less rest. But she is a nice filly, so don't totally discount her. The number 11 post position is a Dark Bay filly called Unheard. She's owned and bred by Nina Olsen, who I think just showed up in chat. She's by Does It Need Saying out of a beat black mare called I Believe in Trust. She's had 5 starts for 3 wins. The only downside with her is her last 2 races were in Group 3s and she was beaten both times. It's the only time she's been off the board. So she needs to return to her week 8 form if she's going to win here today. But she is back on a firm track. She won the Kismet Stakes on a firm track. But she might be looking more for the 7 furlongs than the 5.5. I don't even know how to pronounce the number 12 horse. Alpjebi? Don't know. Oh, okay, I see. Her name is a combination of her sire's name Alpaca and Damn Return of the Jedi. Jedi? Yes. So she's had 6 starts. Yeah. Okay. She's had 6 starts for 3 wins, a second and a third. Her last win was the Queen of London Stakes in week 10. She was 4th last out in week 13 with a 75 speed figure. Little Lost Girl won that race. I don't think Little Lost Girl is here today. No, she's not. Or he, whichever it is. So good luck, Trastevere. Is that how you say it? Anyway. Num- in the number 13 barrier is Bath, um, owned by Carol Hanson and bred by Charles Bunbury. She's a black filly, again rich for the moon, out of a big old mare called Dress. She's had 6 starts for 3 wins, a second and a third. Last out, she was third in the Filly Turf Dash in week 12. So she's coming off quite a big rest, but she did go 8 and 10 before that. She hasn't won since week 6, so she needs a bit of a form turnaround, but you have to be in it to win it. Good luck, Carol. Next up, we have the only Steward bred who went through a trial by summer sale. She sold for $3.2 million. She's called Lady Me. She belongs to Regina Moore. She's by the Black Glove out of Buena Vista, who was by Special Week. And she is undefeated and she's pretty sexy. She's the only one with a headshot, so go poke her nose. Check her out. um, yeah, well, good. Emily is saying that she's not the prettiest headshot, but you should still go and poke her nose. Ugly horses need love too. um, she she last raced in week 13 in Japan, so she's had a little bit of a ship, but she's had plenty of time to get over that. So she won the Group 1 Apache Cat Stakes. I have met Apache Cat a couple of times, and every time I've met him, he has tried to bite me. So he is evil, but also fast and very handsome. He's like a proper blingy horse. But yeah, he's evil. He knows how pretty he is. Anyway, random real life sidetrack there. So number 15 is a Steward bred. Was this one must have been on a oddly steer deal as well. Didn't go through a trial by summer, so going back to M. Phil Hofflick owns this filly. Her name's Blade of Glass. She's by the Black Glove out of Sample, who was by Boba Fett. And now I have that. I put a whole heap of random music on my phone to listen to while I'm riding my horses every morning, and one of them is the Weird Al Yankovic song Star Wars Cantina. So, so now whenever I now whenever I hear Boba Fett, that's back in my head. And Weird Al Yankovic is a horrible person because he makes really catchy songs that are so stupid but so catchy. Anyway, back to Blade of Glass. She's had 7 starts for 4 wins, a second and a third. Last out was 4th in Canada and was beaten by Speak from the Heart twice. So she's got to turn around, but you never know what's going to happen in these big 15-horse fields compared to the normal, 5-horse fields. The way they run changes a lot about you think you've got a horse that likes to lead, but actually they're more like a mid-pack horse, but you don't know until you put them in a big field like this. So it's always worth having a go at these juvenile races if you have something that you think might be vaguely good enough. So I believe it's post time. Back to you, Em.
Music and blasters and old Jedi masters at the Star Wars. Okay, I'm good. All right, so this is our very first live call. I'm not reading from anything, I'm just making it up. The Pick 6, Pick 4, and Daily Double are all now closed because they are. And yeah, it is post time for our first race of the day, the Philly Turf Dash, with a field of 15 because that seemed like a good idea. Just kind of trying to make sure everyone can hear me. Can't tell. Just going for it. They're off. Unheard stumbled badly at the start. Alias is rushed up, and Blade of Glass will join her. Little Lost Girl, Heart Will Go On, Wild Lament, Weeping Wastelands, Chrome Pass, Lady Me, Speak from the Heart's there. Unheard after that bad break, Bath, One Believer, Pit Storms, Crystal Cross, and Alp Jebby is the trailer. They're winging around the turn with Alias leading by a length. Blade of Glass is in the clear second, two in front of a big pack. Heart Will Go On, Little Lost Girl, Wild Lament, Weeping Wastelands coming on now. Lady Me, Chrome Pass, and Speak from the Heart. They're at the top of the stretch in the Philly Turf Dash, and Alias still has the lead. Blade of Glass trying to get closer, and here's Weeping Wastelands on the outside going very wide. Wild Lament, Heart Will Go On, Little Lost Girl, it's Alias, but Weeping Wastelands coming down the middle of the track, and Weeping Wastelands is drawing away now. Weeping Wastelands will win by a length over Alias. Blade of Glass, Wild Lament, and Unheard got up for fifth. The official winner is Weeping Wastelands. She's a 2-year-old chestnut filly by Reach for the Moon out of Slide by Ambitiously. She's a homebred for Jack Meyer, and she is now won 5 of 6 starts. Next up, we have the Turf Dash, the boys' version of this race, and we have a tiny, in comparison, field here of 10 runners. So to talk about them, with only 7 minutes to post, here is Cleopatra.
And I'm back. Congratulations to Jack on that. That's his 10th Steward Cup. I've been here for 10 real years and I've only got 4, so well done to you. Okay, so first up we've got, in this 5.5 furlong competition, we've got Hidden Depths. He sold for $2 million in the Trial by Summer yearling auction. He's by Black Shoes out of Closet Monster, and I love that horse. He's had 6 starts for 5 wins and a second. He was a winner last out in the Lion-Eyes Stakes. Isn't Lion-Eyes a router? Why is there a sprint named after him? Anyway, okay. So that was with an 87 speed figure. The only time this horse has been defeated was in his first start way back in week 3. So I like it. Likes to be sort of midfieldish by the look of it. In the number 2 slot, we have the Onka Khan Lodos, who is a grey colt by Pit Road out of Dream Ambitiously. 5 starts for a win and 2 seconds. The win was back in week 6 in the South Fork Stakes. So it does have a bit of stakes form, but was defeated in week 10 and week 13. Last out was in a non-winner of 2 and got beaten there. So has to improve, but got to be in it to win it. In the number 3 slot, we have the Carl Smythe owned and bred Pug Heart. So he is by Hartnell out of a Goober mare called Groover, and I think that's awesome. He has had 6 starts for 4 wins and 2 seconds. Last 2 starts have been in Game Point side stakes, where he won in week 14 and he came second in week 12. But he has won in Open Stakes company in the Group 3 Condor Stakes back in week 8. So, nice horse. I have no idea how to pronounce this horse. Okeanos? Anyway, Dave McKay owns this horse, bred by Onka Khan, by Pit Road out of Exactly, who's by Reach for the Moon. This colt has had 6 starts for 2 wins, a second and a third. Last out was third in the Dubliner Stakes in Ireland. That was in week 12, so he's had plenty of rest coming into this race. His last win was in an NW2 back in week 7. The number 5 horse is See You Monday, who I think is really cool. He was a $1.2 million trial yearling. He is undefeated, 6 wins for 6 starts. Likes to lead. Last out in week 13, won the Stratocaster Stakes with a 98 speed figure by 5 lengths. He has never won by less than 5 lengths. This horse is a bit insane, and I think he's our winner today. And his lowest speed figure was a 97. This horse is a freak. In the number 6 post position, we have Because of Cats, who I love that name. He was also a trial by summer yearling. He sold for pretty much $1.5 million. He's by Cat of Two Storms out of Waddle, who was a no bias, no hate mare. He's also undefeated. Last out was a winner in the Group 1, or Grade 1, sorry, you guys call it grade, Bronze Horseshoe in South Africa. That was in week 13 though, so the nearly 3 weeks rest should be enough. He won that by 2 lengths. I think this is the horse who will challenge See You Monday if he can get close enough to him, because he likes to be toward the back of the field. In number 7, we've got Go Extra Miles, another trial by summer yearling. Sold for just over $1 million. He's by Exterminate out of Beat of Your Heart. He's had 5 starts for 2 wins, 2 seconds, and a third. Last out, he won the Group 1 Silver Slipper in Australia. That was in week 14, so we've got a bit of a ship coming back, but he was in Australia all year. Number 8 is The Name I Choose, another trial by summer yearling. So apparently you have to buy turf sprint colts and not fillies from the Steward. He was $2 million purchase. He's by Does It Need Saying out of Whiter Shade of Pale, who was a gem on the bus mare. 5 starts for 3 wins. Last out was 4th in the Silver Slipper behind the aforementioned horse, but did win the White Diamond. Number 9 is a Cindy Saunders homebred called LeBron James Jr. 6 starts for 5 wins. Last out won the Lord Cannonaloa Stakes in Japan with an 84 speed figure, so definitely within his rights to win here. And finally, we've got Louise Bayou's homebred Black Moon. He's a chestnut horse by Karakantai out of Black Moon Rising, who was a reach for the moon mare. He's had 5 starts for 4 wins and a second. The second was in the Stratocaster last out, so good luck to everyone.
Well, this short and post time thing is working out well for us, I think. As long as there's not 15 horses in the race. Obviously, the very big clear favorite here is See You Monday, but can he be upset by the Australian Go Extra Miles? I know that Nikki Everdeen has had this race and this horse's whole season in her sights for years and years, so it would be a big feather in her cap. It is post time. Maybe this time I'll actually remember to close the betting on the race. $50,600 in the betting pool for the Turf Dash. They're off, and it was a perfect start. See You Monday, as expected, went right out of the gate to the front end, chased by Go Extra Miles, then The Name I Choose. Pug Heart sits fourth, Lodos, Hidden Depths, Because of Cats, LeBron James Jr., Okanoose, and then Black Moon is the early trailer as they go winging towards the turn. See You Monday, and he leads by 2. Go Extra Miles is chasing second, The Name I Choose alongside. Pug Heart is fourth with Hidden Depths, Lodos, LeBron James Jr., and Because of Cats tightly grouped, and then it's a length back to Okanoose and Black Moon. They're winging into the stretch now, and See You Monday leads by 3. There's going to be no stopping him once again. Go Extra Miles, The Name I Choose, and Pug Heart, but See You Monday is in a procession. He leads by 5. Now 6. And can anybody catch him? It will be See You Monday in the Turf Dash to cap an unbeaten season. Go Extra Miles is going to be second, then the name I choose, LeBron James Jr., and Because of Cats was up fifth. The official winner is See You Monday. He's a 2-year-old bay colt by Sepia Tint out of See You by Reach for the Moon. He was bred by the Steward and is owned by Ronnie D. See You Monday is now unbeaten in 7 starts. The question is, will he ever be beaten? Is he the Sydney of turf sprinting? Or is he going to turn 3 and everyone else is going to catch up? Stay tuned on the next episode of the See You Monday show. Alright, if I take too much of Cleo's time, she's going to get sad. Next up, we have the Juvenile Fillies Sprint. Post time is in 8 minutes, and it's a field of 11. Fillies going 5.5 on the main track.
Okie dokie. So, in position 1, we have Closing Quickly, and that's a really clever name because the grandsires look quick and the Grand Dam is look close. So I thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, Mike Bryant owns and breeds this bay 2-year-old filly. She has 6 starts for 3 wins, a second and a third. Last out was 5th in the puzzle pieces. And before that won the Denbat debutante on a muddy track in week 10. Maybe the fitness was just a thing in week 14. Anyway, in number 2, how do you pronounce Jennifer's last name, Emily? Klabesh. Okay. Okay. So the number 2 horse is Gold Swept, who is owned and bred by Jennifer Klabesh by Perspectives out of Snow Swept, who is a Shark Tank mare. She comes into this race undefeated from 3 starts for 3 wins. Last out was the winner of the Never Perfect Group 3 with a 90 speed figure. Seems to like being up the front there, so she'll be one to watch in this. Next up, we have Futuristic, who is owned and bred by Nina Olsen. Undefeated in 6 starts. I'm pretty impressed by this filly. Last out in week 14, she won the Grade 3 Cold Wind Stakes. And before that, won the Group 1 Spinning Around Stakes in week 11. Likes to be up there at the front, so they'll have to catch her if they want to beat her. Next, we have Xander's own, Love the Wild Look. She's a Steward bred bay filly. She was a $1.2 million purchase at the Travis Summer Yearling auction. I still have trouble calling Xander's own Xander because he's always going to be Skippy to me. But anyway, she's had 7 starts for 5 wins and 2 seconds. Last out was the winner of the Grade 3 First Step Stakes. She had a pretty serious preparation in terms of week 4, week 6, week 8, week 10, week 12, week 14. So the 1 day less of rest will make a difference for her possibly. In the number 5 hole is the Mike Bryant owned and bred Anonymous. She's a chestnut filly by Ouija out of Quickly Lost and Looking. Okay, that was hard to say. She's had 6 starts for 3 wins, 2 seconds, and a third. Last out was 3rd in the First Step Stakes behind Love the Wild Look. So she's been beaten by a horse in this race before, but did win in week 11 and week 9 with 87 speed figures. Next up, we have Turned a Saint, owned by Mike Larson, who bought him from the Steward in the Trial by Summer Yearling auctions for $2 million. She's a chestnut filly. She's had 6 starts for 6 wins, so she comes into this race undefeated. She likes to sit in the mid-pack to the back. She won in week 14, day 1, so You don't have to worry too much about the rest for her. That was a Group 3, so she's got plenty of class. I like this filly too. In the number 7 post position, we have Many Happy Returns, who is owned and bred by Nick Gilmore. She's a black filly by Happy Times Ahead out of Ominous Spiritus. This is a DeLorean mare. 5 starts for 4 wins and a third. Was third to Turn to Saint and When Eyes Meet back in week 11, but won the 2-year-old sprint elimination race in week 14, which is always a very high quality race. So she likes to get back and run home. In the number 8 position, we have the Billy Anderson owned and Steward bred Stood Alone Thinking. She's a grey filly, sold at the Tribe of Summer yearling auction for $900,000. She's by Satellite Eyes out of Blow Your Sharks Off, who's by Shark Tank. She's had 7 starts for 6 wins and a second. Won the Light the Flame Stakes and the Billy Stakes. She was defeated in week 8, but is otherwise a winner. Number 9 is the Gina Porter owned and bred filly, If I Were a Boy. She's by DeLorean out of After 2, who was by Meteoric. She's had 6 starts for 3 wins and a third. Last out was 5th in the Soft Shoes Stakes in week 14. Before that, won the Shakopee Lassie Stakes with an 85 speed figure in week 12. Pete Vella has a filly. She's a black filly and she's called Twerk Queen. And I really like that name. She's by Black Hennessy out of Big Old Booty, who was by Look Thunder. Yeah, I know. 6 starts for 5 wins and a third. Last out, won the Phantom Escapade in week 13 with an 88 speed figure. She was defeated in week 10, but otherwise has been winning all year. And finally, number 11, LA Love Song, owned by Gigi Go Faster. She's a black filly by Happy Times Ahead out of Close By My Side. I think she's a deal with the Steward. She's had 6 wins for 6 starts for 5 wins and a second. Last out, won the Soft Shoes Stakes in week 14 and the Big Dinner Stakes in week 11. So I will hand it back to you, Emily.
I was just looking at LA Love Song and thinking that if there was any horse that I could have picked to like win by 10 lengths tonight, it would have been LA Love Song because just timing wise, the song LA Love Song is from a band called Xylo, and I'm going to a Xylo concert on Saturday. Very excited about the Xylo concert. I saw them 1 year ago, like 1 year ago yesterday, opening for someone else, and this is their first ever concert that they're headlining. Point being that I was like, oh, that's such a cool horsey. I wish I owned that horsey. And then turns out I do own that horsey and I just forgot. So that's a thing that I do, is forget. And now it's post time for the Juvenile Filly Sprint. 5.5 on the main track and a field of 11. Highlighted by the unbeaten Futuristic and the unbeaten Gold Swept. Where did I put that chart? Found it. They're off. A slow start for Stood Alone Thinking, who fell out of the gate, and Anonymous bobbled as well. Not a bad start for Futuristic, who goes right to the front and will be pressured by Closing Quickly. Anonymous is rushed up and joined by Gold Swept, then Stood Alone Thinking after the bad break. Turned a Saint, If I Were a Boy, Many Happy Returns, Love the Wild Look, Twerk Queen, and LA Love Song is the early trailer as they go up into the far turn, and it is Futuristic pressured by Closing Quickly. Gold swept a length back third with Anonymous alongside, stood alone thinking on the inside, and then two back to Turn to Saint. If I Were a Boy and Many Happy Returns starts to get the reins shaken at her. Love the Wild Look is asked to go too. We have a new leader though because Futuristic has cracked and Gold Swept has swept up to take over. Stood Alone Thinking is putting in a run. Futuristic trying to battle on. Turn to Saint coming on and closing quickly is done. Then comes Many Happy Returns. Gold Swept. She's joined by Turn to Saint. Gold Swept on the inside and Turn to Saint on the outside. Many Happy Returns coming on and Stood Alone Thinking. Gold Swept and Turn to Saint. It's Gold Swept at the wire. Gold Swept wins by a neck over Turn to Saint. Many Happy Returns was third. Stood Alone Thinking. Love the Wild Look and Futuristic. The official winner is Gold Swept. She's a 2-year-old chestnut filly by Perspectives out of Snow Swept by Shark Tank. She is a homebred for Jennifer Klepsch, and this is her 4th win in 4 starts. And I actually just teared up a little bit because I'm a girl. And this is Jennifer's first Stewards Cup win, and she's been playing since 2008, which I didn't realize until this moment. So, that's amazing. Congratulations. Now sell me Gold Swept for $12 million. Maybe not 12. I'd pay like 9. That's a good deal. Okay, next up, we have the Juvenile Sprint. Oh gosh, I can't find where I put that either. Hey, here it is. The Juvenile Sprint, which is a very small field of 7. Why? Where'd all the horses go?
Because of the 2-year-old sprint.
Oh, yeah, but there's no horses in the 2-year-old sprint champs either. Anyway, yeah, so that's next. So here she is again. It's Cleo.
So once upon a time, the sprint colts division was so deep, like it was worse than the dirt routers. Seriously. And this year we only have 7 horses in this race, which is a bit sad. But anyway, so the number 1, post division 1, is You Are Worthy. He is a black colt owned by Pete Bella and bred by the Steward. I have no idea. How did this happen? You don't usually breed colts and give them to people, do you? $5.5 million. I didn't know you could do that. Anyway. He's by Black Hennessy out of Flying Ford, Anglia. Now I have that Harry Potter scene stuck in my head. He's had 6 starts for 5 wins and a second. Last out was the winner with an 87 speed figure of the Running Down a Dream Stakes. The only defeat he had was his debut, which was a stakes race. So he's in good winning form. Doesn't like to lead though, so this position could be a problem for him. Next up we have Rafiq, and Jonathan Fisher will be looking for his 2nd Stewards Cup win with this horse. He is a homebred. He's a chestnut colt by Look I Am Scary out of Midnight Gift, who is by After It Rains. He is undefeated. He won the Oceanside Futurity in week 12, so hopefully he's been kept fit. And before that, he won the Denver Futurity in week 10. Doesn't seem to mind what the track is. Comes from the mid pack or leads, depending on what's in there with him. Number 3, we have the Garland Farm owned and bred Black Eagle. He's a roan colt by Black Hennessy out of Eagle in Flight, who is a Look Jet mare. He's had 6 starts for 2 wins, 2 seconds, and 2 thirds. I like the symmetry. Last out was second to Lock You Away in the Fleet Feet Stakes in Canada. Say that 3 times as fast when you're drunk. I've never been drunk though. 84 speed figure was the winning speed figure for that race. Before that, he was third in the Loki Flame Stakes. Hasn't won since week 6, but that's okay. Okay. Mike Bryant bred this next horse. He's a grey colt, and his name's Super. No, hang on. Super Bad. There we go. That's he's by Happy Times Ahead, out of Athlete, who was by Perspectives. He has an excellent record of 7 starts for 6 wins and 1 second. He won last out in week 14 in the grade 3, sorry, Icy Wind Stakes. His only defeat was in week 11. Exile of Kings beat him. I think Exile of Kings has gone to the Sprint Championships. Number 5 is Look I'm Hunting, who is a Cassie Truss owned and Lee Cara bred black colt. He's undefeated. He's by Look I Am Scary out of a DeLorean mare called Gold Hunting. Last out, he won the Rocket to Glory. No, hang on. I had a horse called Rocket to Glory. The race was called Road to Glory Stakes. He won that pretty well by 1.5 lengths. He's done nothing wrong all year. Next up, we've got the bay colt called Legacy Left, owned by Joe DiPolo, bred by Lee Cara. Lee's doing very well at breeding horses and not running them in this race. He's had 6 starts for 6 wins. Last out won the Puerto Rico Futurity with an 85 speed figure. He's been down in that region of the world all year, doing very well. Likes to sit in the middle of the pack. And last out we have in the number 7 hole, Parody. He was a ridiculously priced $9.3 million purchase from the Try by Summer mixed auction. He is a black colt by DeLorean out of the Look Close mare Graces. He's undefeated in 5 starts. Last out, he was the winner of the North State Juvenile in Canada. He won with an 86 in week 13. And before that, in week 11, he won the Renfer Stakes, which is Group 2, or Grade 2. I keep doing that. And he's never run less than an 85, so he'll be one of the favourites here, despite the bad draw. And I think it's time to hand it back to Emily for the call.
I just ran down to say hello to my kids, who I haven't really seen all day, and they're doing a Christmas pageant thing in 2 weeks, and I've been asking them every day what songs they're learning, and they just stare at me blankly and look like I have 5 heads. So today they just told me that they are doing Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree. They sang like 2 bars of it, and so then I just kind of kept going and I sang like the whole song, and then they stared at me and said, "Mommy, that's not the way." So clearly I don't know how Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree goes. I just thought I did. And that's my story of where I went when Cleo was talking. So next up is the Juvenile Sprint, only a field of 7. But see, I'm not buying this whole, like, all the horses are in the 2-year-old Sprint Championships thing, which is where all the horses are, because that race only has 5 horses in it too. And the trials didn't have very many horses in it. And that race always has like 3 fillies. There's no fillies this year. So it's a bad year for sprinters. I guess they're just gone off in the world, or I don't know where they are. No one bred them. Am I talking to myself? I might be talking to myself. Okay, so I guess it's post time now for the $1 million Juvenile Sprint. A field of 7 with Parody, the big expensive horse, on the outside. They're off. Ooh, it was an ugly break as Super Bad broke a step slow. Black Eagle took up off of him, and You Are Worthy bobbled the start. Look, I'm Hunting is gunned out for the lead after a great break and is going to be joined by Parody. Those two move off. Rafik is going to be settling back third. Super Bad rushed up. Black Eagle, You Are Worthy, and then Legacy Left is the early trailer. They head around the turn, and Look, I'm Hunting has shaken clear of Parody and leads by a length. Super Bad's up into third with Rafik back fourth. Black Eagle, You Are Worthy, and Legacy Left. About 6 lengths covers the 7 horses. They're coming to the top of the stretch, and Look, I'm Hunting now leads by 3 lengths. Look, I'm Hunting looks unstoppable. Parody can't get to him. Rafik, You Are Worthy, and Super Bad is backing up. Look, I'm Hunting is on cruise control in the lane. Look, I'm Hunting geared down, not even being asked. Rafik is up into second. You Are Worthy coming on, and Parody a disappointing fourth, but it is Look, I'm Hunting in the juvenile sprint.